everyone. I'm Ashley Postaway, and welcome back to Anything But Bland podcast, where we talk about business, community, and everything in between. This is the Bland & Associates podcast. Today, we're going to highlight National Stress Awareness Month to raise awareness of the negative impact of stress. I have my co-host Kaylee with me today, who's going to introduce our dazzling guest, Kim.
Hi, everyone. Yes, our guest is dazzling, and we're so thrilled to have her with us. Her name is Kim Hurst, and she is an expert in this field and has years working with employee assistance programs. And Kim works with our company, in addition to others, to help implement effective employee assistance programs. We're excited to learn more from you today, Kim, so welcome.
Thank you. And I love the introduction, dazzling. That's the first time I've gotten that one, so I appreciate it.
All credit goes to Ashley. I don't know if she has her thesaurus out when she's writing up the bios, but every week they are just perfect.
Well, thank you.
Happy to be here.
Yes,
Good.
Thank you.
So, Kim, before we dive in, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man. Well, where to start? Well, I have lived in Nebraska my entire life.
Okay.
Born and raised here, grew up in Papillion, actually.
Very
and
nice.
I have two kids, I would say, but they're not really kids anymore. My daughter will be 21 in a couple months, and my son will be 19 in a couple months.
They'll always be your babies.
For sure.
That's what I tell my son. You'll always be my baby.
Exactly. And I have a fur baby. And,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What kind?
She's a black lab.
Oh, my God. A big one.
Cute.
Yeah, I have a Yorkie and a boxer.
Aw,
So,
love
yes.
Nice.
My Yorkie is like the king, though. He takes over, and my boxer, he just follows what he does.
Goes with the flow.
The Yorkie puts him in line.
Aw.
Oh, all right. Well, okay. On outside of work, we know you do a lot of stuff at employee assistance program stuff at work. But outside of work, what do you like to do? Like, what's your favorite thing to do? Hobby?
Yeah.
Read? Whatever.
I am big into watching volleyball. So
Okay.
Nebraska
Ooh.
volleyball.
Nice.
My daughter played. I was able to coach her teams when she was
I love
younger.
that.
Nice.
I played in high school, so a long time ago.
Yes.
But love that. Love getting outside. My son played baseball,
Good.
so love
Do you like
watching
outdoor or
baseball
indoor
games.
volleyball to play yourself?
Both.
Yeah?
Both. Yeah.
I'm actually subbing outdoor tonight, sand
nice.
volleyball. Yeah, Dustin has a team, and I haven't played since before Beckham. He's 4.5, so he's like,
Okay.
"Can you sub?" I'm like, "No," because he's trying to fill us. Okay, fine, I'll sub. I'm not permanently playing. I will just sub tonight because it's so
Oh, my
beautiful out.
goodness.
So
Yeah.
yes, I like volleyball
You might
too.
still need socks because
the
sand
sand's
might be a
freezing.
little
I do have
cold.
sand socks. So I
little
have sand socks. I
cold.
just gotta find where
Yeah.
they're at. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just lots of stuff outside and
Good.
keeping busy with following up with my kids and family
Yes.
and friends and
Good. I love that.
Good answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
good. Okay. So, Kim,
Yes.
first question for you. Can you tell us what an employee assistance program is?
You bet. I like to think of an employee assistance program, or EAP as we'll refer to it a lot today, as kind of the second half of your healthcare coverage. Okay. So when you think of your healthcare coverage, a lot of people think the physical healthcare, right? So you probably have great medical, dental, vision, those kinds of things that'll keep us healthy on the outside. I like to think of an EAP as what keeps us healthy on the inside. So our mental, emotional, psychological health. So and then on the other side, the personal and professional development side of things. So we have great resources that include helping support both your mental, emotional, and all of those other things when it comes to counseling and training resources.
Nice.
Awesome.
How can EAP benefit employees and employers?
You bet. Yeah, great question. So I don't know. I'm going to segue with a little story.
Okay.
If you all
stories.
don't
Love the
mind.
stories.
Yes.
Sure.
So I first came to learn of an employee assistance program when I was 16 years old.
Oh,
now
okay.
you're probably like, what 16-year-old would know about your EAP at your
Right.
first job? So I was a teller at a credit union who was one of Best Care clients at the time, but it was my first job and the first kind of really introduction to the real world. And a couple months into my employment, we had a situation occur that necessitated what we call a critical incident response. So having a counselor come on site to support us and help us really work through the traumatic incident.
Sure.
So you can probably guess what happened. We were robbed.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was wild, but long time ago, not
Right.
traumatized, but I wasn't involved in
Because of EAP.
yeah, exactly. Yes. But yeah, I think that was just really my first introduction to, first of all, how awesome of an organization I worked for that they cared enough to
Really?
offer that kind of immediate support. I want to say I think our counselor was there within like an hour, and we were at a fairly decent far branch location, and really just helping not just us as the employees, but the leaders know what to do to help us come back to work safely and comfortably. So obviously we offer those kinds of things for any employers that we partner with for, natural disasters. I mean, think of all the tornadoes and everything that have been going on the last couple of weeks. All those kinds of things that we don't think about how much it can impact not just one individual or a family, but an entire organization sometimes. So we've been doing a lot more of that since COVID started.
Sure, I figured.
Yep. And just with the climate in our world, society,
right, it's
economy,
always changing, especially here in Nebraska.
Things going on.
Exactly.
So
so that's really kind of how I got my first introduction, and I've been lucky enough to partner with EAP and specifically Best Care almost my entire career. So I am.
It's cool how it's like full circle.
Yeah,
you're seeing both sides of it.
Experience.
Exactly.
Yes, really says a lot about it.
Yeah.
So working in HR and training development, I've kind of been the promoter for EAP prior to coming to Best Care. So really just passionate about the resource.
Yeah.
What are some common reasons employees might seek the EAP benefits?
Yeah, I actually had to bring my list for this because it's been changing the last few years, and it's kind of a trend that we're seeing with COVID. We put our categories or reasons into very general categories because, again, everything that an employee will come to talk to us about is completely confidential. I want to stress that because a lot of people think an employer-sponsored resource, it's going to come back to it's going to come back to my boss.
You don't want to say too much.
HR is going to know. I don't want to, I don't want to do that because somebody's going to know. And our providers follow the HIPAA regulations just like any physical health provider would. But when it comes to the categories, really just general, the top one right now being anxiety. And number 2, stress. I'll give you the top 5. Marriage, relationship, family, and depression after that. So that makes up a huge population of of our clientele and the reasons that those individuals are coming to see us. But it's been interesting for a very long time over kind of just background of Best Care EAP, marital and relationship issues were at the top of the list for the number 1 reason consecutively year after year until the pandemic, and then anxiety and stress came to the top.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a lot of them compound each other,
right? Yeah. And they can acquire so much under each one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
trying
can go
to lump it as
a lot of different
one
areas.
category.
Yep. Which is kind of nice because then, again, it doesn't go back to one specific person where you're like, oh, that, a little bit more specific of a.
Kim has been sad in the office lately,
Exactly. And so that's really the only reporting that, like your organization at Bland would get from an HR perspective is how many employees and the categories.
Okay.
Not just employees. I like to remind everybody it's a benefit for your spouses and dependents as well.
Oh, yes.
So I always share about my family. You heard about my daughter, but my daughter was a senior in high school when the pandemic started. And so she went through a tough time when it came to
I couldn't imagine.
That what she was missing out on. And
senior year.
And I didn't quite understand. I just figured it was, a lot of change, a lot of that anxiety, but she was really kind of grieving the loss of, her senior year and those things,
events that could have happened that didn't get to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, and she allows me to share this, so I'm not sharing without her permission.
That's
but
very nice
she utilized our services through getting through that, and then her freshman year of college, really just acclimating to
another world.
A completely different now online.
Oh man, going COVID online only, and then going into a whole bunch of people again. Like that, there has so many different changes in there.
So it's been a rough cycle for her, but I think she's a junior now, but she's finally kind of settling in. And
I think we all are. I think we're all ready to be around people again.
I know. I'm
speaking for myself, but
yes.
What a tough change.
Yeah. Okay, so Kim, you kind of talked about it, and we've talked about the pandemic and some of that here with your daughter. What, besides marriage being the prior top contender and now it being anxiety. Any other noticeable changes as a result of COVID and now kind of as we move into this new era?
Definitely. And I think, it's been kind of a silver lining is that the topic of mental health at work has been a lot more prevalent, and so we say that, we don't want those things to happen, things to happen, but we're glad that people are utilizing
it's nice
us.
people are talking about it too.
Exactly.
Yes, to bring up EAP, what a great thing. Socially, in the social media world, talk about your anxiety, talk about your depression. It doesn't mean you're weak. Please talk about it because it can only make you better, and improve you in all your relationships in life. So.
And it humanizes you now, and especially no matter what position you're in, if a leader is talking about something that they're dealing with, I think it really just helps people, again, relate.
It breaks a barrier. It makes you feel comfortable.
When our bosses are saying, please utilize this, we want you to utilize this, I think that does make it feel that much more accessible and important.
On the side that I'm on, I work on, obviously not the clinical side. With my background, I'm on the education services side. We saw a lot of teams needing assistance to work through conflict. Again, because of all the anxiety and all the change, people have been in a long-term stress response. We talk about April, and I'm excited that it's, it is stress awareness because stress is really abundant these days. We do a lot of great stress programs, and there's different ways to look at stress. Stress can be really positive, and we need it in our lives to provide that energy to get through certain times and to do certain things, but too much, too long, that kind of thing. So we've seen a lot of conflict kind of management training, but how to have difficult conversations. Leaders finally speaking up saying, I don't know how to start this conversation. Help me. But also between employees too, because again, we can't solve each other's problems.
Right.
So,
you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't know what to say. Are you supposed to say something good or something bad? What is the right tactics to have these conversations?
Exactly.
And you did a great training for us on that too.
Oh, thank you.
I think we've just used them, even us together, I think
absolutely.
they've really been helpful in the training that you gave all of our staff at Bland.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
What role can an EAP play in promoting mental health and well-being in the workplace?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start if you're not sure, and the organization isn't sure exactly where to get started promoting mental health in the workplace. We offer so many great ideas. We do a monthly newsletter, but we have a lot of great ideas on our website for promotion and how to really talk about it and how to really get the word out in the workplace. And I think the more you see our type of material, it sparks those types of conversations. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about the EAP, but a lot of organizations, for example, will put one of our flyers on the back of a bathroom stall. I know that sounds cheesy, but that's where a lot of people take notice, and in the break rooms, and those. I was gonna say that's where a lot of people think.
Have the time to read.
I'll be honest.
You don't have your phone, or hopefully, you just finally see something. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So just random things like that, where the more you see it, the more you see it, and then I think really just being able to provide those resources to our leaders, kind of like what you all did with the training on, let's start the conversation, how to have difficult conversations, but how to talk about these things, because again, we're not unique in that these challenges are happening, and we want to break the stigma. So how can we keep it top of mind? And so some of the things that we help with is really just keeping it front and center. So one of the biggest problems we have with organizations not utilizing us is just due to the lack of knowing that it's there,
or how
that
to
we
start.
have it. How to use us. So a lot of times we'll jump into staff meetings, all employee meetings, just do a quick hit, or again, have our HR coordinator do a quick hit about what it is, how to utilize us, that kind of thing. But we will help however we can, to get the word out. And I think I was just talking to my team yesterday. We have our little kind of weekly huddle, and we will see a spike in utilization from an organization that we've recently done training with. So because we give a little kind of commercial type
people might forget about it, or they just I'll do that later, and it just gets to the bottom and it's gone, and they forgot, but they wanted to.
Out of sight, out of mind. And so I hate to say it, but sometimes we're the best kept secret when it comes to a benefit or part of your benefit package at the organization, because even as an HR representative, I wasn't always thinking about this as something to offer my employees when things were happening. And so, again, how to keep that front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good. So we've talked a little bit about some of these things, Kim, in terms of how the stigma surrounding utilizing this program can be reduced, the tone at the top, and keeping it top of mind. I think that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other ways that you've encouraged your companies to either increase utilization or further remove the stigma around
bring it
this?
back to the top, like remind people how to do it.
You bet. And I'm not and I know from a marketing perspective, you all probably love, paraphernalia and whatnot. I must not have grabbed them, but we have brochures and wallet cards.
Oh, wallet cards.
Nice.
Okay, I like that.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times, and so Megan has all of these things, I'm
Good
sure.
to
And
know.
if she needs more, just let me know. We can drop more off at any point in time. But I highly encourage managers to keep at least wallet cards on your desk, because when an employee comes in to start a conversation about a problem, more times than not, it's stemming due to something personal going on, right? Now, and that's really what we see. Over 90% of workplace problems with performance, behavior, and attendance issues start or stem from some kind of personal issue.
Sure.
This is happening at home, which is leading me to now not be as focused, not be as productive, whatever the case. So having that card or a brochure, whatever is available, will not only remind the employee, but it's going to remind the manager. So for me as an HR person, having that in front of me will remind me, okay, first of all, I'm not a counselor. This is not my area of expertise. And I think that was really kind of difficult for me as somebody that was in the HR field, that I kind of put a lot on my shoulders and kind of thought, I have to fix these things for
carry
people,
it all.
right? Yeah, like
how can
that's
I fix
just
it?
that's just part of being an HR individual, and not the case, right? So that's a great conversation starter. So when anybody's coming in and starting that conversation and it goes to something personal, biggest piece is empathy, right? And that's something that, that's just ingrained in people. So having the right leaders that have that great empathy, that will respond, in a tactful and empathetic way to say, you know what, wow, that sounds tough. I can only imagine what you're going through, or, I care, but I can't fix that for you. I can't help, but we have this great benefit here. This is who you should call.
Right.
I'm helping to really alleviate the underlying problem when it comes to whatever.
Giving some sort of solution, or trying to help, so maybe they can come up with a solution with EAP people.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Because working, once you start working with a counselor, we always like to say there's no problem too big or too small. I can be working on, changing some kind of habit to help me be better organized, or, whatever the case may be. And so I think when it comes to just offering that as a solution and reminding ourselves as leaders also that it's not my job to fix it for them, but I can offer them the resources. I can do what I can do to really get that to them. Then I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Right.
I think one of the other things too is really just walking the talk, being vulnerable yourselves. No matter what position we're in, we're all influential. We're all leaders, right? And so we have the impact on others. And so, am I comfortable to share a story that I've experienced?
We're all people.
Yeah. I share, I utilized Best Care when I got divorced. My daughter allows me to, sharing those kinds of things. It's not meaning to tell you my whole life story.
It gives others ideas too of like what they can use it for, because they might just be like, I want to use it, but I don't know what I should use it for. Which single thing should I use?
Exactly.
Like, okay, so I want to add on to that. So employers have these wallet cards or these brochures out. So like the next step would be like contacting EAP. Is that usually through a phone call, an internet
it can
inquiry?
Be, it can be all different ways.
Are they virtual? Are they in person? Are they on the phone?
All different. Yes, all the things. All the things. I love it.
Yeah.
So yes, any and every which way you would want to attend. So a lot of times I think the hardest part for people is making that first phone call. So if you don't want to make a phone call, really, go online. We can do the intake packet online, and then one of our representatives will contact the employee to make and schedule the appointment.
Gotcha.
But the intake packet is what you have to complete first anyway. So it's usually best to go online first. Okay. Something that's kind of helpful too from an employer and organization standpoint is a walkthrough. We've done a lot of those walkthroughs on the website of this is how to, but making sure, our leaders and HR coordinators know how to do those. But then maybe allowing them a space to do that, or offering to do it with them sometimes. If, hey, you know what, I know we've talked about this, why don't we call together? Why don't we get online together? Really just helps to, ease some of the anxiety out of that. But yeah, we offer in-person counseling, virtual, phone, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So however people prefer, and the online virtual piece isn't going away just because, in-person restrictions are different. We just, it's convenient.
Right.
A lot of organizations too have talked about a dedicated space for private phone calls and or this kind of thing. So, I don't know if you have something like that at Bland, but, obviously in the world that we live in, we don't need everybody to know our business.
Right, exactly.
But, and that's actually one of the reasons why our location is where it is. We are one of the affiliates of Methodist Health System here in Nebraska, but we're not located on any of the Methodist hospital campuses or corporate office, so that, again, we can offer those benefits to all employees confidentially.
Right.
It's kind of like you see somebody walk into HR in the building, it's like, what are they doing?
You just never know.
We want to give that anonymity and what,
Awesome.
There was something else too that I was going to say. I can't remember. I'll pause. Sorry.
That's okay. This has all been great.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
All
yes.
of, even just the notes Kim shared today are so helpful. Every time I feel like I should have a notepad, writing down everything.
Good thing it's recorded and we can go back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Pin this episode.
Yes.
No, this has been great.
You.
And I think, there's just truly so many benefits that can be reaped from this, not only on a personal level, but for our employees. I have a few direct reports that report to me, and I want them to be happy and fulfilled. And to Kim's earlier point, we all know what we know, and we're all good at what we're good at. And there's other people that are experts at what they are experts at. And so employee morale, employee well-being, I'm sure there's data that shows that translates into employee health.
Oh, you bet.
Physical health insurance cost and things like that. And
I don't know if you want any more statistics, but I have some. I have some wild statistics. So one of the things I haven't mentioned when it comes to like the mental health is substance abuse and really kind of the codependency and coping that people have utilized substances for, especially over the last 3 years. But here's a statistic that I found very interesting. Up to 40% of industrial fatalities and 47% of industrial injuries can be linked to alcohol consumption and alcoholism. Wow. But substance abuse costs American businesses more than $559 billion a year in lost productivity, crime, healthcare costs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they're just, again, I'm not one to just kind of shock and awe with the statistic, but we don't think about how people are working through their stress. And, from a stress awareness standpoint, we kind of joked early on in the pandemic, like, I'm going to have an extra glass of wine tonight.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to drive to work tomorrow.
For sure. But it became a thing.
But gosh,
it became a huge thing. And we saw the numbers, especially in women, rise very, very much so. And so that's another piece of our support is, again, from a substance use and abuse. Yep. And I think a lot of times when these kinds of tricky things are coming up at work, again, we're not here to be the experts, and I'm not here to diagnose. I'm not here to counsel. I'm not here to determine what the issue is that you're experiencing, but hey, did you know that we offer this?
Right. Yep.
A lot of people think they need to police or to, tell people what to do and how to deal with things.
Or try and fix it when really maybe you should just and let other people fix it. That's my problem. I'm trying to be a fixer all the time with my siblings. So like, can you just not fix it and just listen? I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely do that. It's hard, but yes, I can.
Right. Yeah. But that's one of the things too, where we offer something called the supervisory referral, or what we call the referral process. And I think that's something, especially for leaders, that reminds people that how much their personal issues can affect their productivity and their work output, right? So we have this process that can actually lead to a referral of an employee coming to see us as kind of a contingency of an employment. And I used to think from an HR standpoint, I was like, oh, I don't like talking about like disciplinary stuff like this.
Yeah.
But it's just another way to show we care enough where we don't want to just discipline to the point of termination.
Right.
Absolutely.
We care enough where we know there's an underlying issue that is affecting you. It's not that you're a bad person. You have these things going on. Now you're making bad choices or having bad, outputs based on what all is going on. Yep. And, not everybody will agree to it if it comes down to it. But I've worked with employees who have been very appreciative of being put this route because, again, nobody wants to be disciplined or punished, but if I am not performing my job, that's why we're all here, right? Yep. And so to be given the opportunity to work through and fix and get better, whatever my situation may be. And so the referral process, a lot of people kind of think it gets a bad rap sometimes where it's like you're mandated to go to counseling. No, it's totally your choice. Right. But again, it's just another option that we can provide, because I know as an HR individual, I never wanted to terminate anybody. My bleeding heart would but this is what they're going through, but they're not doing their job, but this is what they're going through. Right. So this is,
the middle to fix it or try and help guide it.
It truly does show the organization cares genuinely about the person.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Man, I have so much information for you.
Sorry, overload. I just do a brain dump sometimes where I'm just like,
great.
What else do you want to know?
Right. This is great, Kim, because our podcast, we cover a lot of different topics, but in a hope that someone's going to hear something and spark an idea that they take to their company or to their nonprofit they volunteer for. And so I think what you've shared today is going to get some wheels turning and have people hopefully start to explore how they can implement something like this at their
or even our employees listening to hear, like maybe they didn't know or we're afraid to ask these questions. Right. So I think this is wonderful.
Yeah. Something specific about Bland specifically is your employees have 6 sessions per unique scenario.
Okay,
so
cool. Okay.
It's not just a one and done. That's something that I wanted to pop in there. But that's really up to each organization. So that's kind of one of the other trends since COVID. It just kind of came back to me. But we're seeing a lot of organizations increase the number of sessions.
Is it per year or okay?
Well, per unique issue.
Oh,
and then it does. If the same unique issue happens again, then it does renew each year. But like divorce versus my daughter's stressed. Right. 2 very unique, different issues. Yep. Somewhere there could be combined, but so there's a lot of different ways organizations can implement this into their contracts.
Some parameters.
Different contracts. Other services that we offer include like legal and financial and dependent care resources and those kinds of things. So a lot of different options. Different organizations will choose to obviously implement what they think will be utilized the most.
Customize.
Exactly. But
so then after those 6 sessions on that one thing, are you guys referring us to somebody else, or like, or are you just one and done?
That's a great question. Great question. Yeah, a lot of our employees that have really utilized us as short-term care, they will really kind of be good to go in less than 6 less than 6 scenarios sometimes. We were at a health fair the other day. An employee came up to us and she's like, I went 3 times and it's not like we're going to be cured right away. But she's like, I felt like I was to the point now where I was given the resources and the tools and what I needed. And so you don't even have to use all of them. But say you want to continue long term on a specific plan or whatnot, we can really kind of refer you to within your medical our health network so that costs will be reduced and it won't be out of, as expensive out of pocket. But that is really kind of something that I haven't used the word of today, but it is free. The counseling is free. That's usually one of the most important things that I start with. But I forget how many people don't know about these things, and I don't ever want to assume. So the free and the confidential piece are, really the biggest features for sure.
Well, gosh, thank you so much for sharing all the knowledge that you could with us today. I'm sure there's plenty more, but maybe we could have a part 2 someday.
Oh my gosh.
Something else. But
one of Kim's other sessions. I mean, we wanted to bring her on because April is Stress Awareness Month. And as we've talked about throughout this episode, I mean, that's just so prevalent in so many people's lives post-pandemic and just the way society is now. A fellow colleague, Jason Tonjes, just sent out an email a couple days ago to some of us about just how life now and kind of the expectation of just being on the go, and that's just our society rewards that mentality and doesn't allow for the time to rest and recoup. And, and so I think, hearing from Kim and hearing about this and just having an awareness of the stress in your life, whether good or bad, and if bad, how to address it and get the tools needed to cope, because stressful situations, I'm sure after 6 sessions don't go away, but I'm sure after those sessions having different mechanisms to use and tools, just
And you said a great word, awareness. I think that's, hopefully, like you said, if one person can benefit from hearing this, we've done our job, right? That's how I feel after anything that we do. If one person walks away and sees value, a lot of people think, oh, we talk about this all the time. Don't people know?
Oh, gosh.
I hear it a lot. But not everybody hears a lot, right? You hear it when you need to
sometimes. In one ear, not the other, or when you really need it.
There's just a million things going on in life, and you're just trying to survive to the next day.
Exactly,
And so
as you kind of mentioned, referring to kind of that email with all of the expectations that we have, a lot of our training programs now help us that we're working on, obviously are relevant to what's going on in our current world. So really one of my new favorites is finding our focus, how to eliminate some of those distractions, not just physical distractions, but virtual distractions, all of those things. But from a stress awareness standpoint, we have tons of stress, really kind of stress reducing programs, whether it be, we have one basic one called Stress Less, but then we have one all about resiliency. And the resiliency is the huge foundation of how to cope with that stress, right? So how do we build up those resiliency characteristics? And so that's really one of my favorites, because it does start with the awareness of something is going on and I'm not doing well, right?
Right, exactly.
It all comes back to that, where it's okay to not be okay,
Right,
and we have to, when we see something, say something, whether it be ourselves to somebody else or a leader to, an employee or, family member. Hey, I can tell you're not yourself today. What's going on? It can be so simple. And the coaching from a leadership standpoint is super effective when it is simple, and it comes from that place of genuine sincerity, right?
The care.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Sorry,
I keep going back into more stuff, and I'm like, let's keep talking.
No, it's perfect. I was just going to add one more thing, that I'm listening to the audiobook, Atomic Habits.
Oh, yes.
And the same thing. It's like, if you're trying to get to these goals, and you keep doing it, if you want to keep your kitchen counter clean, and you keep it clean for a day, but your system, and you can't keep doing it, it's your system is broken to get to that goal. So you have to fix your system to get there. And it's change one thing or look at it differently, so it's, I'm loving the book and how you think about it.
Oh, that's one of my favorite books.
But it's so there's so much science behind it, or tactic behind it.
Our habits are so ingrained, and it really comes back to a lot of it. Our thoughts. It begins there, right? What are our thoughts, and what are we telling ourselves?
A second, I swear.
Oh yeah, and that that internal voice is not always the nicest to us. So.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much again.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
If anyone wants to know more about Bland and Associates, go to blandcpa.com or check us out on social. Okay, we love all your ratings and reviews. Thank you. So keep those coming. If you do want to be entered into a drawing to win some sweet swag, go ahead and do those. Otherwise, thank you all so much for listening.
Yeah, we will put Kim's info in our show notes. Awesome. And also the book you mentioned and any other resources, Kim, if you would like to include those. Kim, thank you again.
Thank you.
This was exciting and
It's
fun.
great to see you both.
Yes, likewise.
All right. So, friends, be informed,
Be inspired.
and be awesome. Bye.
A Hurrdat Media Production.